What if I told you that your aging process, the back pain, the stiffness in your knees, isn't natural? What if I told you this is the result of a theft? A theft that happened right under your nose every single day, and that 99% of people accept as normal. This video isn't for everyone. As Thoth wrote in the Emerald Tablets, wisdom only reveals itself to those who are ready. And if you're here, it's because part of you already knows there's a secret, an anti-aging exercise so powerful it was deliberately forgotten. And today, I'm not just going to tell you what this exercise is. I'm going to give you the full map. I'm going to show you how this one single movement can reverse years of damage, release trapped emotions in your body, and reconnect you with a source of vitality you thought you'd lost forever. Most people will skip this video, but not you, because you're ready. And what you're about to discover in the next few minutes won't just change your body. It'll change the way you see life itself. If you feel ready to remember what was forgotten, comment now. I choose vitality. And get ready, because the journey starts now. For that which moves is immortal, and that which is motionless is subject to death. The modern world has made us believe that aging begins with wrinkles, but the truth is that it starts the exact moment our body forgets how to connect with the ground. And this disconnection has a story that reveals why the oldest and wisest cultures on the planet never suffered from the ailments that afflict us today. This story takes us far from the concrete cities and artificial lights, back to a time when humanity lived in constant dialogue with the earth. Imagine for a moment the tribes of Africa, the indigenous peoples of the Americas, the rural communities of Asia. For them, the ground was not something to be avoided, but the very foundation of existence. They didn't need furniture because their bodies were perfectly adapted to rest, work, and socialize in a posture that today we see as a challenge. Squatting, close to the earth that gave them sustenance. Elders would gather in circles to share stories with straight backs and relaxed hips, drawing wisdom not only from the words but from the very ground beneath them. Craftspeople would spend hours working on their creations with a level of focus that came not just from their minds, but from a stable and grounded body. Entire families would share meals, not around high tables that separate us, but together, close to the fire, in a communion that was both social and physical, strengthening bonds and joints at the same time. For these cultures, that posture wasn't an exercise to be done at a specific time of day. It was simply life. It was the natural way of being, a continuous expression of harmony between the human body and the planet. This daily, unconscious practice kept their joints lubricated, their muscles strong, and their spines aligned into old age. They weren't fighting gravity. They were using it, flowing with it in a state of dynamic balance that modern life has completely made us forget. This wisdom echoes the Hermetic principle of correspondence, immortalized in the phrase, "As above, so below, as below, so above." The physical posture close to the ground, what is below, was a direct reflection and a cause of their elevated spiritual and energetic vitality, what is above. By staying humbly connected to the earth, they allowed the planet's energy to flow into them, nourishing not just their bodies but also their spirits in an uninterrupted circuit of strength. Traditions like yoga, with its hip-opening postures, and traditional Chinese medicine, which focuses on the free flow of qi, vital energy, are just fragments of this ancient wisdom. They try to teach us today, in a structured way, what was once second nature. They remind us that vital energy, or prana, needs a free path to flow, and that the stiffness of the physical body creates blockages in that flow, leading to stagnation and illness. What they once knew instinctively, we now try to relearn through discipline. These cultures didn't need gyms because life itself was a workout. They knew that this posture didn't just keep the body strong, it activated something much deeper, a true internal alchemy, capable of rejuvenating the body from the inside out. And modern science is only just beginning to understand how it works. Internal alchemy, the science behind the magic. Modern science, with its precision instruments, is finally decoding the magic that the ancients knew by intuition. When you perform this primitive movement pattern, you're not just bending your knees, you're initiating a cascade of biochemical and physiological events throughout your entire body. It's like flipping a master switch that turns on lights in rooms that have been dark for years. The largest and most powerful muscle groups, like the glutes, quadriceps, and core, are activated simultaneously, creating an energy demand that boosts your metabolism in an impressive way. But the real alchemy happens inside, on a level the gym mirrors can't show. The movement of lowering and rising works like a natural hydraulic pump for your circulatory system. It forces blood to be pumped from the extremities back to the heart with more strength, improving oxygenation of every tissue and organ. At the same time, the gentle compression and decompression of the abdominal cavity massages the internal organs, stimulating the digestive system and supporting the body's natural detoxification processes. This process can be seen as the first phase of bodily alchemy, the solve or dissolution. The stiffness built up in the joints, the stagnation of blood and lymph flow, the toxins trapped in the tissues, all of this starts to break down and dissolve through the rhythmic power of movement. It's a purification process that doesn't require extreme diets or expensive supplements, just the rediscovery of a skill that already belongs to you. You are, quite literally, dissolving the physical blockages that accelerate aging. Think about the efficiency of this gesture. In one single and elegant movement, you're doing strength training, cardiovascular exercise, deep stretching, and visceral massage. Compare that to the fragmented and isolated routines common today, where you need dozens of different machines to work on separate parts of the body. This primitive pattern is the embodiment of nature's intelligence, a biological shortcut to vitality that far outperforms the artificial complexity of modern methods. It's an integrated system where every part benefits the whole. Improving ankle mobility positively affects knee health, which in turn reduces tension in the hips, helping to realign the spine. This is not an isolated exercise. It's a complete recalibration of the musculoskeletal system, restoring the synergy and communication between different parts of the body. You're not just strengthening muscles, you're retraining your body to move as a unified and intelligent whole. Strengthening muscles and optimizing organs is just the beginning. The true power of this movement shows itself when it begins to interact with the more subtle energies of the body. It accesses places where we store our deepest memories, and what happens next can be as intense as it is transformative. That intensity arises because the human body is not just a structure of flesh and bone. It's a living archive of all your experiences. and certain areas like the hips, shoulders, and jaw function like vaults where we store the energy of emotions that were never fully processed. Fear, anger, sadness, resentment, each of these feelings, when unexpressed and unreleased, crystallizes in the body as chronic tension, like an invisible armor you carry without realizing it. When you begin to practice this deep movement, you're actually inserting the key into those rusty vaults. The difficulty many people feel, the stiffness that seems unmovable, is rarely just physical. It's emotional resistance. It's your body saying, "Don't go there. That area holds old pain." It's the echo of past trauma, of a loss that was never grieved, of a fear that froze you years ago. The physical stiffness is only the outward expression of an internal energetic blockage. Thoth, in his teachings, tells us that inner darkness should not be feared or ignored, but brought to light in order to be transmuted. When you practice this movement with awareness and breath, that's exactly what you're doing. You're bringing light, in the form of consciousness and circulation, to those dark, forgotten areas of your body. And as physical tension begins to release, the trapped emotional energy begins to move. That's why it's not uncommon to feel waves of unexplained emotions, or even to cry during the practice. This phenomenon is a perfect demonstration of the Hermetic principle of polarity, which states that opposites are identical in nature, differing only in degree. Stiffness and fluidity are not separate conditions. They're two extremes on the same mobility spectrum. By sitting with the discomfort of stiffness, breathing into it instead of resisting it, you initiate an alchemical process that transforms it into its opposite. Tension dissolves into relaxation, blockage becomes flow, pain becomes release. This is where the exercise transcends the physical and becomes a powerful tool for psycho-emotional healing. Each session becomes an opportunity to dialogue with your own past, to release baggage you didn't even know you were carrying. You're not just getting in shape, you're becoming lighter, not just in pounds, but in emotional load. You're clearing out the basement of your soul, creating space for new energy and new experiences to enter your life. Releasing these emotions is like lifting an invisible weight off your back. But this energetic clearing makes room for something even more powerful: the ability to reconnect with the fundamental cycle of existence itself, a ritual of power that ancient shamans and spiritual masters practice daily. The ritual of death and rebirth. Now it's time to name the key, to reveal the secret that's been hidden in plain sight. This movement, this primitive pattern, this ritual of power is the deep squat, but to understand it merely as a fitness exercise is to miss its deeper essence. We must frame it for what it truly is: a sacred ritual of death and rebirth that you can practice every day, an act that encapsulates the very rhythm of life, the eternal cycle of lowering and rising, of surrendering and conquering. The act of lowering, of bringing the body down toward the earth, is a powerful symbol of humility. It's a recognition of our roots, a voluntary surrender of the ego that constantly seeks to rise and stand out. In spiritual alchemy, this is the nigredo stage, the dark night of the soul, where you voluntarily enter the darkness, the unknown, to confront your shadows and dissolve old structures. By going down into the deep squat, you are symbolically dying to your old, rigid self. In contrast, the act of rising, of lifting yourself up from the ground using your own strength, is a symbol of rebirth and resilience. It's the affirmation of your power to overcome adversity, to emerge from darkness with renewed strength and clarity. This is the albedo phase, the whitening, where purified matter emerges from the ashes of dissolution. Every time you rise, you're celebrating your ability to be reborn, to recreate yourself, to transform vulnerability into unshakable power. This daily practice becomes an echo of the Hermetic principle of rhythm, which teaches us that everything flows, everything has its tides, all things rise and fall. Life is made of cycles, of expansion and contraction, of success and challenge. By practicing the deep squat, you're training your body and your nervous system to move through these rhythms with grace and power. You learn at a cellular level that every descent is followed by an ascent, and that the strength to rise is cultivated in the very depth of the fall. In this way, the deep squat stops being a task or obligation and becomes a sacred act. It becomes your moving meditation, a moment to reconnect with the most fundamental truths of existence. You're not just training your muscles, you're training your spirit in the art of renewal. You are teaching yourself again and again that no matter how many times life brings you to your knees, you will always have the strength to rise again. Practicing the deep squat is, therefore, practicing the art of rising. But to master this art, we must first dismantle the greatest lie modernity has told us about comfort. Modernity sold us a seductive promise, the promise of a life without effort. Ergonomic chairs, soft couches, cushioned shoes, escalators, everything was designed to spare us from physical effort, to wrap us in a bubble of perpetual comfort. But that promise was a trap, one of the most destructive lies ever told to humanity. What was sold to us as progress was, in reality, the blueprint for our own physical and energetic decline. Think of a wild animal, a tiger or a wolf. Its strength, agility, and vitality come from constant interaction with the environment, from the need to move, to hunt, to leap. Now imagine that same animal placed in a cage, with food delivered on a tray and no space to move. In no time, it would become a shadow of itself, weak, apathetic, sick. We are that animal, and our homes and offices have become our golden cages. What we call comfort is, in reality, programmed atrophy. Every time you choose the elevator instead of the stairs, the chair instead of the floor, you're sending a clear message to your body. You're no longer needed, your strength is no longer required, and the body, being a machine of biological efficiency, responds to that message by shutting down the systems that are no longer in use. Muscles weaken, bones lose density, joints lose mobility. Comfort is the fastest path to fragility. Thoth, in his writings, warns about the chains man forges for himself. Chains that appear beautiful but imprison the soul. Modern comfort is one of those chains. It's a prison so cozy that most people don't even realize they're trapped. They accept back pain, stiff knees, and lack of energy as normal for their age, without ever realizing that these are direct symptoms of a life spent in an invisible cage. A life disconnected from the Earth's primal force. It takes courage to challenge that lie. It takes a conscious act of rebellion to reject the comfort that weakens and embrace the kind of effort that strengthens. Sitting on the floor, practicing deep squats, walking barefoot on the grass, All of these are small acts of insurrection against a system that wants to keep us weak, docile, and dependent. It's a call to break the bars of our self-imposed cage and reclaim our bodily sovereignty. We traded our innate strength for a life of supposed comfort, and the cost was our own vitality. But the key to reversing that process is not in a complicated training program. It's in using gravity itself as our ally, anchoring our energy in a way most people have never experienced. Grounding. Anchoring your energy in the age of distraction. We live in the age of distraction, a time when our energy is constantly being pulled upward and outward, toward phone screens, toward worries about the future, toward the relentless noise of the mind. This chronic energetic scattering is the root cause of anxiety, stress, and the feeling of emptiness that plagues the modern world. A scattered spirit ages the body at an accelerated pace, and this is where the deep squat reveals its most transformative power, fulfilling the promise of being the true anti-aging exercise. This movement acts like an energetic lightning rod, an anchor in the middle of a mental storm. By deliberately lowering your center of gravity, you're physically pulling your energy back into the body, back to the earth. It's a conscious act of saying no to dispersion and yes to presence. This simple gesture interrupts the chaotic flow of thoughts and begins a process of re-centralization, bringing your awareness back to the only place where life actually happens, the now. This simple and powerful act activates what Eastern traditions call the root chakra, our energy center located at the base of the spine. Think of this chakra as the root of a tree. Without it, the tree falls at the first sign of wind. This energy center is our anchor, our connection to the physical world, the source of our stability, security, and life force. When it's weak or deactivated from lack of use, we feel insecure, anxious, and ungrounded, disconnected from reality. Thoth, the master of wisdom, instructed, "First seek within the circle of earth and always remain in the light." The deep squat is the most literal way to draw that sacred circle. When you squat, you create a closed circuit between your body and the earth's energy, allowing the anxious, stagnant energy of the mind to discharge into the ground, like a grounding wire that protects an electronic device from overloads. You become a conduit for energy to flow. At the same time that you discharge the excess, you open yourself to receive. The calm, stable, and nourishing energy of the planet is absorbed into your system through your feet and your root chakra. It's a process of exchange, an energy transfusion. You're effectively plugging in to the greatest power source available, recharging your internal batteries not with artificial stimulants, but with the primordial, endless force of the earth itself, which sustains all life. This is the real anti-aging secret, alchemy in its purest form. It's not about building bigger muscles or burning more calories. It's about managing your own vital energy, becoming the master of your internal state. A calm nervous system and a grounded spirit create the ideal biochemical environment for the body to heal, repair, and regenerate at maximum efficiency, slowing down the processes of cellular decline. The deep squat soothes the sympathetic nervous system, the fight-or-flight mode that modern life keeps constantly activated. In its place, it activates the parasympathetic system, responsible for rest and digest. This shift takes your body out of survival mode and places it in a state of prosperity and rejuvenation, where energy that was once burned up by stress can now be redirected toward maintaining and optimizing your health. Think of it as a daily reset for your mind and spirit. In a world that does everything to disconnect you, this movement is your way back home, back to your center, back to your truth. It's the simplest and most profound solution to the full mind that makes us sick. When you practice it, you're not just strengthening your legs. You're strengthening your presence, your calm, and your ability to remain unshaken in the chaos of the world. The consistent practice of grounding transforms your vibrational frequency. You stop resonating with fear and anxiety and start syncing with the stability and solidity of the earth. This inner shift shows up outwardly, in how you face challenges, in how you show up in the world, in the energy you radiate. People feel that calmness, that steadiness, that presence. It becomes part of who you are. Anchoring your energy calms the mind and strengthens the spirit. And that inner stability, that sovereignty over your energetic state, becomes an external quality that is the true antidote to aging. Unshakable confidence in your own body. With that unshakable confidence that comes from grounding, we can finally redefine what it means to age. Society has programmed us to fear the passage of time, painting a bleak picture of loss, dependence, and fragility. But that is a limited view, a self-fulfilling prophecy created and sustained by those who have abandoned movement. True anti-aging is not a futile battle to maintain a youthful appearance. It is the conscious cultivation of vibrant, powerful autonomy. It's about becoming the sovereign master of your own body, a living temple, free to move through the world with grace, strength, and power, regardless of the number of candles on your birthday cake. Chronological age becomes irrelevant when biological age is kept young through intelligent movement. You stop being a victim of time and become an active partner in your own ongoing vitality, living life on your own terms. The true measure of youth is not in the mirror's reflection, but in your ability to interact with the physical world without fear or hesitation. It's the freedom to squat down to play with a child, feeling the joy of the moment instead of pain in your knees. It's the dignity of rising from the floor unassisted, keeping your independence intact. It's the strength to carry your own groceries or to hike a trail, feeling the earth beneath your feet. Each of these everyday actions becomes a declaration of independence, a quiet, powerful affirmation of your bodily sovereignty. The deep squat is the foundational training for that freedom. It's not just an exercise for the legs, it is the construction of the base, the foundation on which all your future autonomy will be built. Without this solid base, any other pursuit of health or well-being becomes fragile and temporary. The ancient Hermetic text, the Kybalion, teaches that the all is mind, the universe is mental. This principle applies perfectly here, revealing a deep connection. By training your body to be strong, flexible, and capable, you are simultaneously reprogramming the deepest layers of your mind. You are, in a practical and undeniable way, breaking the limiting beliefs society implanted in you, beliefs that associate age with inevitable weakness. Every time you rise from the ground with ease, you are sending a resounding message to your subconscious. I am capable. I am strong. I am in control. This physical repetition becomes a mental affirmation more powerful than any words. You are using the body to free the mind from the prison of programmed aging, proving to yourself that the old rules no longer apply because you have chosen a different path. Now vividly imagine two possible futures, 20 or 30 years from now. In one, you live in fear of movement, every step calculated, relying on others for basic tasks. Your world shrinks day by day, limited by the walls of your own stiffness and pain. In the other, you move with the confidence of someone who fully inhabits their body, exploring, traveling, living with the dignity and freedom that many younger people trapped in their own rigid bodies don't possess. The deep squat is the fork in that road, the decision point. The choice you make today and repeat every day to practice or ignore this ancestral movement determines which of those futures you will manifest. It's not fate, it's not genetics, it's not luck, it's a conscious choice, an act of personal power that defines the trajectory of your quality of life in the decades to come. You are, quite literally, sculpting your future with every movement. This autonomy is the purest and truest form of personal power. It frees you not only from obvious physical limitations, but from the psychological prison of fear that paralyzes so many as they age. The fear of falling, the fear of not being able to get up, the fear of becoming a burden to others. By cultivating strength and mobility through this practice, you dissolve those fears at the root, replacing them with serene confidence. You can build a future of freedom or accept a future of limitations. The tool for that construction isn't found in a pill or a clinic, it's literally at your feet, waiting to be used. Now, with this understanding, it's time to turn all this knowledge into real power, into deliberate action. Because the great secret of life is not just knowing what to do, but actually doing it. The Way Back, the practical guide to reclaiming your power. Knowledge, no matter how deep, is useless if not applied. Transformation doesn't happen in the mind, it happens in the body through consistent action. So let's turn this ancient wisdom into a practical and simple guide, a path back to the power that was always yours. The journey to reclaim your vitality doesn't require expensive equipment or hours of dedication, just focused intention and the courage to take the first step, no matter how small it may seem. The first principle is, start exactly where you are. If today you can barely bend your knees, don't be discouraged. The stiffness you feel is just the memory of years of disuse. Use a chair as your first ally. Sit on the edge and practice standing up and sitting down without using your hands. Focus on using the strength of your legs and your core. Each repetition, no matter how simple, is a message to your body, a reminder of its original function. Intention matters more than depth. The second step is to build the habit by integrating the movement into your daily life. The deep squat shouldn't be an isolated event, but a natural part of your day. When you go to pick something up off the floor, squat instead of bending your back. When you tie your shoes, do it in a squatting position. While waiting in line, practice lowering a few inches and holding the position. Turn the world around you into your personal gym, using every opportunity to re-educate your body and strengthen this movement pattern. The third secret is in the breath. Thoth teaches us that breath is the key to self-mastery. When holding the position, don't hold your breath or fight the discomfort. Instead, breathe deeply into the tension. Imagine each inhale bringing oxygen and energy to the stiff areas, and each exhale releasing and melting that tension, giving it back to the earth. Conscious breathing turns a mechanical exercise into a powerful meditation, uniting body, mind, and spirit in a single act of healing. Finally, celebrate every bit of progress. The journey to reclaim mobility is not a competition. Don't compare yourself to others or to an idealized version of yourself. Celebrate every extra second you can hold the position. Celebrate every inch lower you can go. Celebrate each time your body responds with a little more fluidity and a little less pain. Every small victory is a giant step toward reclaiming your freedom and a building block in the creation of your vibrant future. Each time you practice, you're not just exercising your body. You're sending a powerful message to every cell. I choose vitality. And that choice, sustained day after day, is what separates the 99% who age by default from the few who rejuvenate by decision. We've come to the end of this journey, but to the true beginning of yours. We've traveled a path that led us from the mystery of a lost code etched in our DNA to the wisdom of ancient civilizations, and finally to the revelation of the deep squat. Not as an exercise, but as an alchemical ritual of power. Now the illusion has been shattered. You know that aging as we've come to know it, with its stiffness and dependency, is not an inevitable fate, but a choice made by omission. The truth has been revealed, the power to reverse this process, to rewrite the future of your body, was always with you. Not in some external source, but in the intrinsic knowledge of your own body and your ability to reconnect with the earth. The choice is now clear and completely in your hands. You can treat this knowledge as an interesting curiosity and return to the comfortable cage of modernity. Or you can use this key to open the door of your own prison and step into freedom. The Hermetic Principle of gender teaches us that everything in the universe has its masculine and feminine poles. Until now, you've been in the feminine mode, receiving this knowledge, absorbing this wisdom. But knowledge without action is sterile. Now is the moment to activate your masculine pole, the pole of action, will, and decision. It's time to take this truth and manifest it in the physical world through daily practice, creating a new reality for yourself. This is the final call, not just to practice, but to become a beacon of this wisdom. Share this knowledge with those you love. Show by example that it's possible to age with power, dignity, and joy. Every person you awaken to this truth helps elevate the collective consciousness, contributing to healing the wound of disconnection that afflicts our civilization. Become living proof that another path is possible. Remember, the power to transform your future is not in tomorrow, it's in the now. It's in the next time you choose to squat instead of bend over. It's in the decision to spend 5 minutes on the floor instead of the couch. It's in the simple yet profound act of lowering yourself to the earth and rising again by your own strength. Your rejuvenation journey doesn't begin tomorrow, it begins now. If you've made it this far, drop this phrase in the comments. I rise with vitality. I want to see who's truly committed to reclaiming this forgotten strength. And if you want to support the channel more directly, there's a link in the first pinned comment to contribute and help more people receive content like this. Any help, whatever the size, is very important to me and to the growth of the channel. But know this, just by watching all the way to the end, you've already helped a lot. You can also share this video with someone who needs this message. And don't go just yet, because I've selected a special video just for you. It's already on the screen. Click it now and I'll meet you there.